Hello, Old School Gamer 1971 here, greetings one and all, especially to you, Millie and Lloyd. Today my third hour thoughts is on Devil May Cry 5. I've been playing this game for around 3 hours, and this is what I think. Devil May Cry 5 by Capcom. It's an action horror that came to the PlayStation 4 in 2019. It is a sequel, but number 5 kind of gave it away. It comes after DMC, which may have been improved visually, however fans felt it was an insult to what came before. So it was a while between DMC and Devil May Cry 5. Capcom are a Japanese-based developer, established in 1979. They've proved time and time again that they are a great developer. Capcom have really redeemed themselves over the last couple of years. They decided to use the RE engine, more on this later. This proved to be a really good idea. Somehow, this was developed at the same time as Resident Evil 2 Remake, and both came out with such a high quality to both titles. With both critical and commercial success of their games, I can only imagine it will not be too long before Devil May Cry 6 is on the horizon. This game is set 5 years after Devil May Cry 4. Nero has set up his own demon hunting agency, so some dates of significance lead into this game. April 30th, a dying demon appears and rips off Nero's Devil Bringer arm, using the Devil Bringer arm Yamato to open a portal to escape into. A few days later, V comes to Dante's office to hire Dante to kill a returning demon. Dante, Lady and Trish arrive at the Red Grave City on May 16th. Once there, they cross paths with Nero. They are all after the same demon, Urizen. He planted a demonic tree, Qlipoth, under the city. It is wreaking havoc with an insatiable appetite for blood. Dante is ultimately defeated. His sword rebellion is shattered. Lady and Trish are captured and turned into cores. V and Nero narrowly escape at Dante's request. As they turn to leave, the tree is impaling the crowd. They hear the screams coming from behind them. They leave to regroup, knowing that they must defeat the demon before Earth becomes a new hell. I don't really want to go any further into the story, as it will ruin the story otherwise. So is this Devil May Cry 5, or is it Devil Needs a Cuddle 5? The people have taken to the streets to see the demonic monstrosity that darkens the sky. Morrison is with the amassing crowd. It cuts to Dante fighting the demon. The demon is getting the upper hand. Nero and V are looking on. V decides to leave. Nero decides he wants revenge. This is the demon that took his arm. And then it's into the action. Now, whilst this is short, it might feel a bit of a shame, but then it does get into the action that much more sooner. This is the best looking Devil May Cry ever. They were looking for photorealism in the characters' faces, and they are bloody close. Smooth animation and crisp graphics have you often looking on in awe. The character models are awesome. Seeing all the returning characters in their PS4 Pro glory is pretty damn special. The combat looks and sounds truly brutal, and the moves put a big smile on my face. The backgrounds also look really good, detailed in an exceptional way that complements the character graphics almost perfectly. And it's not just the good guys that get a return. The enemies too have a great big makeover. More Pimp My Demon as opposed to Ricky Lake kind of makeover. I am glad that the levels are larger this time, as it gives you a chance to drink in the graphics. The graphics have a feeling of Parasite Eve sort of flavour to them, especially the art style, which is good as Square Enix seems to have forgotten about the IP for around 9 years now.
Redgrave and its surrounding cities have ceased to function as a result of the mysterious tree that apparently attacked the city approximately 1 month ago. In light of this incident, the government...
The sound must be right or the game will be no good. As it is, this is top notch. If you're going to have punch you in the face graphics, you're going to need to have wet willy in the ear sound. The moves need to sound like crunching bone or hitting someone with their own wet-ended arm that you have just yourself amputated. It all sounds so epic. The music builds up well, really ramping up the adrenaline during those battles. The voiceover is cheesy as hell, but it's supposed to be. It is a good cheese as always. The atmosphere is in a really good place after the graphics and sound. It is intact because it is great in equal measure, and whilst it has nods to the other entries, the sound is all new and improved.
Hey, Nico?
Don't lose your tits. I see him.
Hey, you have to hit every single bump in the road? Gonna ruin my groove.
With a simplified combo system for amateurs and me, there are 3 different characters for you to play as in different chapters of the story. Dante, Nero and introducing V. All 3 have very distinctive fighting styles with their own moves, specials and skill tree to unlock. The gameplay is really something quite special. There is enough room between the combat to appreciate those graphics, but it's never too long before you're wielding your sword again. There is a lot of combat on offer here. Also, for those crazy gamers that love a difficult play, you can ramp up that difficulty to hell on earth difficulty almost. This will keep the hardcore fans happy. This really does look and feel like a Devil May Cry game should look for the PlayStation 4. This is all thanks to the RE engine, first used in Resident Evil 7. It's such a good game engine. Somehow it works so well, but the original Devil May Cry was going to be a Resident Evil game but set in the past, much like Onimusha before it. Funny, they never made that game. This is rather good. I have missed Devil May Cry. I like the world, or Underworld, on show here. The characters are good here. They have never looked better in fact. This feels and looks like a Devil May Cry game. The atmosphere is there, and being honest, it is something that I did worry about. As if they'd got this wrong, it would have been game over. The RE engine may be able to help with graphics and sound, but the atmosphere, it was all the developers. This really shows what the RE engine can do. Devil May Cry is faster, more fluid and moves so differently, and yet it works. This does have a little Parasite Eve flavour to it. I mentioned it earlier. This is hardly a bad thing. In fact, I feel that it may actually add to it. I love the cinematics on show here. It does give it a layer of polish, as they are so good to look at and interesting to boot, and the voiceover just tops it all off.
They're everywhere. Makes me sick. I gave you that one.
This, like Resident Evil 7 before it, was a return to form. Both new entries are top-notch quality. These have always been good and have entertained me for hours. Dante is one of the best protagonists ever, both in look and one-liner. The pacing in the game is right and shows that there can be life breathed back into a franchise. Another thing I liked is you can look at what came before if this is your first experience of Devil May Cry. It's in the menu. This is turning out to be a hell of a year for games and for Capcom. They're just banging them out recently. So if you're a fan of this franchise, get this game. This is my favourite Devil May Cry, and I hope we get a sequel for the PlayStation 5. So that about wraps it up. I hope you all have a good day. If this has been helpful in any way, please like, comment, share and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and makes an old man very happy. I post new videos every week. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Old School Gamer 1971 signing off.
Not making it easy for me.